Record. Cool. All right, Dan. Welcome. Thanks for doing this vendor interview. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, a little bit of your history, what you do, and that good stuff.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Carl. I appreciate it. My name is Dan Sardilli. I am the owner and principal agent of Sardilli Insurance Agency. We are a third generation independent insurance brokerage for personal lines of insurance. So think auto, homeowners, umbrella, and power sports and all those fun toys that people get. And then also commercial lines of insurance as well. So think of property, commercial property, general liability, workers' compensation, uh, umbrella coverages, all that fun stuff, professional insurance, professional liability. But yeah, so I won't go into my life detail, but I currently live in Weathersfield. I love to golf. I like hockey. I have two little boys, 1 and 3 years old at the time of this recording. Probably be way older by tomorrow, which is crazy. But yeah, that's me.
Gotcha. And so you said third generation. So your father and your grandfather, all insurance people?
Yeah. So when my grandfather got back from the Korean War, he went to University of Hartford, and then he got certified as a nationwide insurance agent, and then became a nationwide insurance manager in Waterbury, and then he was able to buy an agency in Southington, and then that's where our agency currently is. So we weren't always in this same building, but we've been in Southington for over
Gotcha.
45 years. Then my dad bought the agency in the late 90s, and then I recently just acquired the agency.
Cool. And
Yeah.
so like you were listing off those things, it's pretty much everything, right? Insurance wise, house, car, you name it, you can basically do it. If there's something that you don't do, you have people you can direct people to, because obviously being a resource is a big component to like what us is it. Like we don't know what we don't know. So leaning on somebody with your profession or expertise is important.
Yeah, and that's like I'm in the insurance world. This is my full-time job. We've been in the insurance industry for so long. So even if I have something that I can't do, which is rare, like you said, we are kind of a generalist agency and we kind of can do everything. We prioritize that, and helping small business owners and people buying their first homes are big clients of ours. A lot of our clients are in that situation, that phase of life. But yeah, we have resources. If there's something that's totally crazy that I can't do, then I have the resources to at least connect you or another agent to the right person, or at least someone who can advise you on what to do or what direction to go in. So
Excellent.
that's the key.
Okay. And so you were kind of born into the career of insurance, right? But do you
Yeah.
enjoy it? Like, what do you like most about insurance, or is it rewarding at all?
Yeah. Is that a trick question?
It
I
is a trick
think it
question.
might be. Yeah, so I think it's funny. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, insurance, you must just be like a paper pusher," and like it's just really like this like death knocking on your door, fear mongering salesperson. A lot of people think of it that way, but a lot of the way that I was brought into the agency, I've been doing it for 6 years, but I've cut my teeth like with my grandfather and with my dad. I learned a ton from them, and we are transparent protectors kind of your most important assets. So all these things that you saved up so much money for, or you borrowed a ton of money to purchase, if it was to be lost for some reason, you want to make sure that you can snap your fingers, not literally, but almost literally. So in a week or two's time, you can almost get back to what it was before you lost it. So whether it's
Mm,
a car accident or whether it's a fire in the home or a theft of something valuable, the insurance plans and the way I look at it is it's just a prudent protection of those big assets that you would hate to lose.
right.
A lot of people say that insurance is like a first world luxury, and that's true to an extent. Like, why are we paying monthly for something that might never happen? But you will know if you've had a claim or if you've had a devastating loss, you know the value that insurance makes you whole. It brings you back to normal, brings you back to the life that you had right before this major loss so that you don't have to worry about like the financial piece of it. So that is rewarding in a sense, helping people protect those things that they work so hard for. And then just getting to meet people and connect people with other resources that they might need. I mean, I met Carl through the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm pretty active in the Glastonbury and East Hartford, Marlboro, Hebron, Chamber of Commerce, the River Valley. And it's been just so great to connect with people and network people and say, oh, you need an interior designer. Like, oh, guess what? I know someone who is awesome and I can connect you with that person, or, those types of things. And that is just being a part of the insurance world. I get to have that as like an ancillary benefit. So I know I'm long-winded in my answer, but yes, I enjoy the insurance world for that reason, just meeting people and connecting people.
It's a really good answer, and I love the idea of the transparent protector
Mm,
of like,
hmm
like that's an interesting phrasing that I've never really thought of, and it's a cool way to
Yeah,
think about it. Like, because
yeah,
nobody sees you, you don't know that you need it until you need it, right? That's the crux of insurance. So,
yeah. I think like in the reason I say transparent too is like I say we as insurance agents as a whole, we unfortunately get lumped into the used car salesman type of stereotype a lot of the time. And I'm not going to lie, you do meet some people like that in this trade. But if we can, and we pride ourselves on being just extremely transparent, if I don't have the right policy for you, I'm going to pretty much tell you that I don't have the right policy for you, and I'm going to either point you in the right direction or say, keep the policy that you have, and we'll talk next year to see if there's something else out there. And
right,
I think people value that. I think that's one of the reasons why we've been around for so long is that, I'm not here to push a product on you that you don't need. I'm here to just tell you, like your neighbor would say, hey, this is a good recommendation because you probably need this,
right,
and just
right.
sticking to it like that. So,
Okay. What, obviously, like real estate, the insurance world has changed a lot and everything like that. What are you finding are the biggest challenges right now, like in the insurance world?
yeah. Specifically with property, I'll say that even over the last 5 years, we had the kind of lumber crisis of the 2020 era and COVID, where lumber prices were skyrocketing, and that increased property insurance prices because the replacement cost is something that property insurance is based off of. So market cost and replacement cost are two totally different things. Market cost, you guys all know way more about that than I even do about what goes into market cost and appraisals and things of that nature of what it costs to buy a house. But replacement cost is literally just the materials and the labor to rebuild the house in its entirety if it was to be totally lost. And so lumber prices drastically increased replacement costs estimates because then to rebuild it, it's going to cost that much more because you need that much more lumber, et cetera. And then even contractors being so busy that it's hard to get them on the schedule and to show up and to get a job done in a reasonable amount of time, you're paying out more for contractors and that labor. So it's definitely the costs associated with having an insurance policy and replacing a home are increasing, and therefore we're seeing that property costs are increasing above what they previously were. You used to be
Gotcha.
able to kind of ballpark a replacement cost at about $150 per square foot, and you kind of like could use that metric as like a reasonable number. I'm
Mm,
kind of starting at 225, 250 as a
wow.
replacement cost number. And so that's what
Huge.
we've been seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big jump even from 5 years ago. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Roofs are a big issue in insurance as well. A lot of companies are starting to
Real
not want
estate.
to write.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of insurance companies
Running
don't
into
want to
that a
write a
lot
home.
in terms of like, are you sending out cancellation? Maybe you don't do this personally, but are people,
Yeah.
your clients calling you and being like, I got a letter that's saying I got to have my roof evaluated or something? How do you handle that? Like what goes on there?
Yeah, so we get notice from, let's say, Travelers, one of our companies. I write a new piece of business for a home closing, and Travelers comes out and inspects the property, whether it's virtually or with a drone, or an individual comes out and inspects it. They send me a notice that say, "Hey, we found some things that are unsavory from the inspection. You need to remedy this in 60 days, or we are going to cancel it." So a lot of the
Mm.
time, the client gets that letter as well, and it's written in very um, not
Alarm.
friendly
Yeah.
language. Yeah, we'll say alarmist language is a good word for it. So they see this legalese letter and they say, "Oh crap, my homeowner's insurance is being canceled." They think it's being canceled yesterday, not the date that's on the top of the screen, on the top of the paper. So we kind of have to explain that scenario to them and say, "Hey, like if you want to fix these things to keep this policy, we need photos and we will submit them to the insurance company. And if you feel like these are things that are not worth being fixed, then we need to start shopping around for a potentially more expensive and or alternate insurance policy, because
Gotcha.
we always try to give the policy that is the most reasonable price for the best value of coverage. But if the price is something that needs to change due to having to go to a different company that may be more forgiving of certain inspection faux pas, then that's kind of what we have to do. So that's the
So
benefit of having multiple companies.
yeah, I was going to say, so you shop these policies around to different companies and things to see what is the best fit for the client, not necessarily the cheapest, but most the value, I would assume, and that's really what you do, right? You're are you considered an insurance broker?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I like agent, kind of like a secret agent. Makes me feel
Yeah.
more special, you know. But yeah, I'm basically an insurance broker. So yeah, we have relationships with five major companies that you've heard of: Nationwide, Plymouth Rock, Progressive, Travelers, and Liberty Mutual. Those where most of our personal lines of insurance go. And then we have
Gotcha.
some ancillary ones for like shoreline or for mobile homes or for vacation homes and things like that. But we have relationships with those five companies, and we're basically their representative when we give you an insurance policy.
Gotcha.
So
And
that's kind of how we go.
and why would somebody say go to you instead of directly to Travelers? Is there a benefit to that? Is it service? Is it value? What is
Yeah,
that?
I would say it's mostly service. You know, you're dealing with a local agent. We are a small business in your community, and we have the individuals who are experts in this area, not just general insurance. But yeah, you can always come and talk to a person as opposed to having to call a 1-800 number and get lost in a phone tree or talk to
Gotcha.
some customer service person that's out on the West Coast or something like that. So it's a lot of the local small business support and face-to-face conversation
Yeah.
that's valuable. Um,
And that's
but yeah,
tremendous. That's hugely valuable. To me, like service is huge nowadays. Calling into a random call center or something like that, or just you talking about getting that roof letter and then working through that and working through that with you instead of
hmm
like just, going through the system sounds a lot more appealing. Like, here, Dan, you handle this, right? Here are the
right.
pictures. You help me figure this out. So I think that's a tremendous value. Let me ask you this. What is what would say differentiate besides service, right? Being a small town business and things like that. What differentiates you from like another insurance person? Is it um, anything specific?
Yeah, I think I would lean on that transparency. Like I said, you're not going to get the same. That's not a priority for everybody. You know, I think a lot of people in insurance are in it because it's a certain lifestyle. There's some flexibility. You could control your own destiny when it comes to commission-based sales, similar to a real estate agent. And I think a lot of people are in it just for the short term, making money on a policy. We've clearly been around for a long time. I'm not going anywhere. We're not selling our agency, even though that is attractive to some insurance agency owners. I'm planning on being here for a long time, and you're building a relationship with us so that we know your family situation. We know kind of what phase of life you're in so that we can help you navigate the next twist and turn that comes along, and kind of that transparency that comes along with that. I mean, we've had clients that come to us and say, you know, Dan, like I really need to save some money on my home and auto. And we quote them with the five companies that we have. And I say, I really hate to do this, but like I'm going to recommend you go to my friend who's in a different agency because he's got other resources that I don't have because I'm limited to these 5 or 10 companies. And that's the transparency and the trust that you know that you're going to get
Right.
from our agency.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting thing because I know it used to be like, oh, I've been, there's like a whole loyalty concept with insurance, like, but that has seemed to wane over
Mhm.
time, where it's like, oh no, they've been in my insurance company forever. But now it's like, the shopping, oh, you should shop your insurance every year. You should do this every year. And it's
Mhm.
seems to be much more volatile,
Yeah,
which reminds me, Dan, we should shop my insurance at some point. You can look at all
let me know.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, knowing that if you don't have resources, you know where to go to, or that, you're not afraid to just say like, hey, listen, there could be a better deal for you. Looking out for the client's best interest up front, I think is
Mhm.
tremendous. And that's probably why you, your father, and your grandfather have been around for so long.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that you are the owner of the company, that you are a bricks and mortar place, all of those, and that you're local and that you give back to the community and that you're involved in the community, and all those different things are tremendously important to me as a business owner. So who's long-winded, Dan? I'm long-winded. But
Between the two of us, I mean.
Yeah, we'll never get out of here. And thanks to all those agents who stuck around so long to watch this. But for insurance is not the only thing you do, though, right? You also own another company. Why don't you talk about that too? Because that's awesome as well.
Oh yeah, I'll briefly talk about that. It's usually more fun to talk about. So I run a small golf simulator that's in Southington as well, called Happy's Indoor Golf, based off the movie Happy Gilmore. Not directly because of copyright infringement. Don't tell anyone. But Happy's Indoor Golf. We're a more casual golfing environment that's judgment free, all skill levels. It's really cost effective and cheap for you to come and try golf for the first time. So yeah, it's 2 indoor golf simulators. If you like golf, you've probably been to one. If you've never done golf besides mini golf, that you might want to give full swing golf a try. This is probably the best place to do it because you never lose your ball. You're hanging out with your friends the entire time. It's BYOB. It's a more social atmosphere, kind of like bowling or Top Golf, if you've heard of that. So yeah, that's the seasonal night job that I do, as opposed to the full-time job of insurance.
Well, I like that. I was actually talking with my daughter about coming out, because I'd love to get her into golf, but instead of like taking her out, I was like, well, why don't we pop up to Happy's for an hour, and you can at least swing it, see if you like it, and do that type of thing. Do you have people who stop in and do that?
Oh yeah. That's some of our most common people. Besides, we have like a league that's a little bit more competitive. People who have already been golfing and want to like kind of test their mettle a little bit. But then the other demographic that we definitely serve is people who have never golfed before and who are just interested in getting like a taste of what it would be like in a safe environment. So we pride ourselves on being an introductory golf place. Sometimes I joke around with the right crowd that it's like the gateway drug to golf. Like you come to Happy's, you try it, you're like, oh, that was pretty fun. And then you can take it from there, wherever you want to go.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Dan. How do people get in touch with you, insurance-wise? Insurance-wise, what's the best way for them? Is it website, email, phone?
Yeah, my email and my phone. I have my cell number. I think Carl's got it. And I don't know. He's probably going to share it with the rest of the crew. But yeah, my email or my cell. You can text or call me. I think I've worked with a few of the agents that Carl guiled already, and it's been great to work with you guys. So I'm hoping that I could be a resource to anybody else who needs help or needs advice with insurance, and we can kind of go from there. But yeah, shoot me a text or call me or email me anytime.
I appreciate it, Dan. Thanks for taking the time. And you guys, thanks for watching. Dan's an awesome insurance guy. I've used him personally. I've referred many clients to him. All the clients love him. And he is a great resource. If you have insurance questions or anything like that, shoot him a text, shoot him an email. Always available. So I highly recommend Dan. And Dan, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Carl.